Hi, this is Bob Grant, and in this section of You Ask, I Answer, where I answer your questions, the question I have for this video is, one reader wrote in and says, what is the biggest turnoff for men? Well, the problem with that question is that I don't know that there is one big thing that applies to all men. If you're thinking in terms of like, what's the one thing I need to avoid, let me give you a better rule of thumb. Is that men, the biggest thing for men in general, I mean, men have specific things that are unique to them, as in some men like a woman that's, chatty because they find her engaging. Some men like a woman that's more reserved, so those things are unique depending on the type of man. But as far as what's something in men in general, I can say confidence, but the problem with confidence is the implication I find when working with clients is they think in terms of being positive all the time and upbeat. And that's not the only way I want to describe it to you. See, when we talk about this in the Women Men Adore Club, is that if confidence means you have to be up all the time, then what happens when you have a down day? I mean, what happens when you get overwhelmed? What happens if you gain 5 pounds? What happens if you just think your hair looks like crap today? Or, whatever thing that just, the day-to-day worries. And I don't think any woman can do that unless she's going to just suppress her feelings and never complain. And that to me sounds more like being in a cage than it does a relationship. The real secret ingredient that men find is, let me describe this first, is the ability to be authentic. And authentic is where you have the courage to be imperfect. It's where you're free to be yourself. And it may have an air of confidence with it. But it's actually where you are comfortable with who you are, your flaws as well as your attributes. And so conversely, the biggest turnoff for men is when a man feels like a woman is, it's not being inauthentic is the best word, but overly guarded is the best way to put it. She's anticipating like a detective what he likes, what he doesn't like. She's she's looking for things that go wrong. She's not comfortable with who he is. And maybe he's done things that deserve that. I'm not saying that. But that's still going to be a turnoff for a man. If he's doing those kind of things, then my question to you is, why are you with him? Why are you staying with him? And so this inauthentic thing, if you want to put it another way, sort of a simplistic term, we'd say when a woman wants to play detective. When a woman tries to catch a man in his lies and catch a man and he says this, see, the problem is that women are not usually as clever as they think they are. And it's not that women are unclever, it's that they're not being as clever. They think that, wow, he's not going to see what I'm doing. Men see what you're doing. Well, we get it, what you're doing. You're trying to trick us into questions or something. And I can tell you as a professional counselor, if someone wants to lie to me, they're going to lie. I mean, I may catch them, I may not. I do this all the time for a living. Because to be able to do that, you have to have sort of a ruthless quality. And while you may catch someone in a lie, what happens is you end up being paranoid, or it comes across as being paranoid. And that's not the ability to be at ease. That's not being authentic. That's being guarded. And so if you find that you have a hard time with being guarded, that is going to be a turn-off to men, because the only really type men that are going to find that appealing are the men that love a challenge, and they want to see that if they can break through your exterior, that sort of those self-defenses. Problem is, once they do, they tend to get bored with you. The challenge is gone. And so you may make it difficult for a man to get through to your heart, but you're not doing a good job of attracting the type man that I think you want. And if you're married, you're going to make it hard for your husband to please you. Now, I don't mean to put this all on you, and I can do another video on what women find unappealing. But since this is geared toward women about men, what men find most appealing is the guarded woman that has these self-defense walls up, and her main goal is not to be hurt until a man in her mind proves himself. But the problem is the criteria she uses is oftentimes him being able to consistently pursue her and declare his love and break down her defenses. She doesn't understand that the guys that really would be good for her view that as she's not interested, or she doesn't care enough to let me in, that he's having to do so much work that it almost feels like he's dating a child. Sorry, don't mean to be ugly, but that's what it feels like. So what is it that men find is a big turnoff? It's that guarded, inauthentic quality. And that's something that we address a lot in the Women Men Adore Club. Not just address it, but also how to overcome it so that it doesn't become part of you anymore. The idea is to learn these magical qualities, and then they're just part of you for life. You don't have to always learn them. All the members of the Women Men Adore Club, I don't expect them to stay there for 30 years. That would mean it's not working. It's to be able to learn and experience it, and with you keeping your personality, and then be able to take that, and then as men notice that, whether you're chatty or quiet or tall, short, whatever, that quality, regardless of those characteristics I've mentioned, produces that glow that men really do like. All right, so sort of an in-depth answer, I realize, but it's a good question. So I want to thank you for watching this, and if you're in Relationship Headquarters, please take a look around and see what we have to offer. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please click on the link below and join us in Relationship Headquarters. And so we would love to hear more from you and love to have you more engaged.